Right, so today I wanted to go back through what we did the other day on the button to where we did this file in range. Now, I didn't like the way we did this because this mouse would have been more effective to move the mouse rather than moving all the vertices of every triangle, especially if we come to the point where we have hundreds and hundreds of triangles. We don't want to have to remap every triangle every time we want to do something. We'd rather just remap the mouse once and then just run this essentially inside the loop rather than running all this information and transformations. So the way I also took some different routes or different ways of doing things, like point inside using it as on the object itself, and is point inside as a static. And that's not a very good idea to do, but I did it and it still works. So at some point I'm going to clear all this up because I'm not too impressed by it. So to get the mouse, I wanted to do something slightly different, which was to take on a layer. I want to go this dot screen to world space. I'm going to take this as a function. I'm going to pass in a vector, and I also wanted to do the opposite, so world space to screen. I've had a little bit of a cold over the past few days, and I realised that I could use it as an excuse not to do this, or I could do this anyway, and I'm going to do it anyway. So if my voice is a bit different to normal, that's just why. Say like I've changed any of the recording equipment. So taking a vector, and we want to get from screen to world space, which is what I believe the mouse is doing, what we needed for the mouse and the button. So I don't want to do any of this at the moment. I'm just going to return false anyway. And I want to do console log. We'll just do a break essentially. So that'll just mean every time it logs to the screen, it'll have a gap above it, so we know that everything underneath it is connected. So now I'm going to put mouse, I'm going to put a colon, and I'm going to just put the mouse in like this. Think in a vector, did we have a toString function on the vector? Possibly not, no. This dot to string. I'm going to set it as a function with no parameters, and we're just going to return x colon plus this dot x plus comma y colon this dot y. I think just to make it look slightly more like a vector, I'm going to put it in brackets. So to this, I'm going to toString, I'm going to put it in here as a .toString because mouse is a vector and on this one we are going to do some little things now, like this dot actor dot layer dot screen to world space, and we're just going to make mouse equal to this, and we're just going to do the exact same log again, but we're going to do mouse screen to world. So this is still on the click, so when we do a click on the actual object itself, or not even on the object, but when we click the screen, it's actually going to flag it up, so it's going to do all this code, so it'll write to the console. And right now I just need to put in a return mouse, or return vector. And open up the console, which takes a slight second, and I'm just going to refresh it anyway. So now if I click the screen, if I click in the world space, it should open up, and as we see, it says these two are identical. But obviously if I want to click in sort of close to the center of the screen, we want it actually to put, when we convert it to screen to world, we want this to be 0, 0, because this is representing 0, 0 on the world space. 0, 0 would be roughly where these positions are. So if you remember, these two objects are positioned at 0, 0. So we know that's where the world space is. Now how do we do this? Well, we have to look at the context of camera. So we look at how it's doing the rotations, the order of transformations for the camera on the canvas, and we want to reverse this. Some other things I need to add to the vector, because I was thinking about this earlier and I realised I haven't added anything into the vector except for what I've just added today, which was that 2. I'm going to move this to the end just so we can work on it easier. To string, I want to add vector dot add. I'm going to take 2 vectors in, A and B, and this is going to be a function, and we're going to just return the sum of these 2 vectors. So return new vector a.x plus b.x, b.x, a.y plus b.y, and that's our vector. And I'm going to do the same with the subtraction, which is going to be a minus b and a minus b. So now that should return the correct values. Screen space is what I'm doing. So if we look at the order of operations, to undo this we'd need to reverse it. So we need to take the rotation out and then revert the position. So we need to use the matrix again. So I think I was going to put on the camera a new matrix. So this dot rotation matrix equals new matrix 2v2, and we can do this dot set rotation equals function rotate and we're just going to do the rotation matrix dot set rotation is equal to the rotation value, the rotate argument, and this rotation is going to be equal to rotation. We need to multiply this by math dot to radian. Is it radians? I think. We don't use it here. Let me use it on the triangle somewhere. Oh, no, we use it on a button somewhere. Yeah, math 2 radians. It's in the camera. Math 2 radians, which is right. And this is not right because this is just rotation. Equals rotate. Well, that should be good to go. So, one thing I'm worried about is the camera rotation. We could have a forwards and backwards one so we can reverse things much quicker. So I'm just going to take the forward at the top and back at the bottom. So, and the only difference is we're going to put a minus sign on the back one. So now we go to the layer, we go this dot camera dot to remember the matrix, we use the transform and we need to use forwards or backwards matrix, the back matrix. And then we just put the vector. So this vector needs to equal the new rotation. Should be very quick, and vector equals vector, which is this object, and we need to use the subtract, and we now just take the vector and we're going to put the camera, or this dot camera dot position, now when we run this it should screen to white space, that should convert the where is it? Yeah. So when we convert the mouse, it should now return 0, 0 if I click inside the box or somewhere near the box. It should roughly be 0, 0, which is done the exact opposite. So I just want to check something on the layers, which it's doing minus minus, which means we've got to add. Something still seems to be going wrong, so it could be that I need to use forwards here. Not that there's any rotation inside it, so we could just briefly use control, which was choosing this position. So if we did this, when we used P, it did move the, originally it did move the object to where the mouse position was, but since we updated it so the camera moves, it no longer takes into account the world space. So we can just borrow the function screen to world space. Just make sure screen to world space. Now if we hit P, okay, so it's obviously wrong here. And the control 2, so this axed up position is going to be set to the world space. Let's just check on the vector A, Y, B, Y, that's fine. Matrix stock forwards is set to, I could just check the camera because it should just be the identity. Check the elements 1001. Right. That should do. That's wrong. Did I not set it to the right values? 10001 should be the last value. Okay, so maybe that was going wrong the other day, but now we can see it is coming to the actual position. Now we've got to try and do a set rotation. Set rotation equal to 10. Still looks pretty good. Right, that's on layer 2, that's one. It's a little off, so was this order? You can try using the order in the other direction. Just for the time being. That should have. Right, so seems to be the better answer. And so it must be in this world space that it actually acts differently. So it should be the other way around. Or maybe I completely have no idea what's going on and everything I'm just guessing. Right, so now on the button itself I can now do this check to see whether it is in the number of tries, so I can loop through all the triangles, and if it is in there it should now just have to like a triangle, points inside mouse triangle. So if it is inside, it should flag it. On court, try one not defined. I just put try data. Yeah. As you can see, I can get very close to it with it, and as soon as I click it, it does activate the being clicked. Right, so now that works. We just need to check that the screen space does actually return. I'll just do it after this, just so everything still works. World to screen. And we should get something that is, if I spell it right, that is what we originally had, or something approximating what we originally had. Which obviously isn't going to be seen because this, it returns it if I click inside it. Screen to world is 83, 400 and 400. So obviously something is still wrong and we need to figure this out. So I did set this right, so yes, that is a minus. We can try putting this after, which for some reason to me doesn't seem like that should be the right answer, and it isn't. So although I know this works, I don't. We put addition when it's sub. So now if I click here and we get the 275 back out, so we can confirm that this now works, even though, yeah, it just works. It works now, so I'm happy enough with that. And obviously we don't need the console.logs anymore, so we can get rid of them. And we don't need all this because this is just hassle, and we can get rid of that. Matrix.raw. Where did I just read? Vector transform vector raw. So I want to change that wherever that is going to be in, which should be vector raw, should be more of a vector transform array. Transform array. So this makes more. Oh, it's not array. It's 2 coordinates. Where was I using this? In the button. Think about what it's trying to do, which is just draw the interface. Set rotation is 2 radians. This rotation value is slightly odd to me because that seems like it should have just had the context. We've done the translate part, but we didn't do the rotation part, which means all this is irrelevant. So all we'd have to do then is just draw the x coordinates. Why did I do it this way? Actor.rotation. No, it's just this one, that rotation. And stop rotation, which will put this in the positive sense and then the negative sense at the bottom. So it should just, well, we've got restore. I must have panicked and set this up, so all we really needed to do was to put the x coordinates in here, and the y coordinates in here. Right, so that seems how I assume that should work. .72, which is here. Might just be rotate. And it still does the exact same thing, and it still works exactly the same way. So we didn't need to do all that, go to all that effort. Do we even need to do the save and restore? That Didn't even need to use a matrix, and we didn't need to use restore. Unless there's a rounding error or something like that. Go for let I equals 0, I is less than event names dot length I plus plus, and obviously just slap the I in that part there, and now we've got the events working the way they did as well. So if we wanted to, we could also get rid of this middle line here. But I'm not going to, so let's just put divide by 2 back in here, so it does actually use the size system again. Now we should have an adaptable little system, and I wanted to check as well the triangle, because in my frustration I went through and changed some of this. Where did I? Unless I did on the last one. Yeah, so right, so that's point inside and point inside. Why did I use 2 of them? Seems that there's an array version and there's a triangle ID version. Foreign array. ID, so now that should be an array. This one was the array. Triangles dot is point inside mouse and dot try data, but we didn't need to do the try data. Because we could have just done the is dot triangles and put I in there, and that would have done the whole thing. in which case this makes this irrelevant. And on button we did a position value, but we didn't take it into account when we did the mouse, so we need to do mouse equals vector dot sub, and we want the mouse values and we want the position values. Won't do anything until we change the position of the object in the UI. So user interface rotation, vector, we'll put it as 50, 30, 20. This doesn't take into account, but for some reason it didn't, or it also didn't draw it in a different place. So transform, and I think I've used this before in here, maybe, no, in red square, render square, translate is what I needed. So we'll do the comments. Well, noticing a mistake that you've already made in another file is not a good thing, so I need to go and check that. I go and rectify this. Which was already rectified. That's confused me now. Okay. Well, I guess we need to put this one first. In this render, we have the positives and then we do the negatives. So let's do this again. So that's because it's flipping out more than it should, so it's because it's not converted to radians. And we just need to convert that on the negative as well. Make something a bit. Okay, so it's lowercase t, I'm guessing. Because it's just cancelled it all out to 0, so yes. In position. And it should also take into account its new position as well. And if I press P, that's also moving now to the world space. So it seems all to be working. This relaxed approach seems to be yielded more results as well, so that's one positive aspect to what I've done today. Figuring out what I want to do next. I've got a few things to do, but I don't know what I want to start. Because I have this rule where I always finish on something that's functioning, otherwise next time I come to it I have to go in and fix everything that's broken. Kind of like what I did today, but everything was already functioning to a point anyway. So it was okay if I left it, but it actually works properly. I'm happy with it now. I think that's where I'll leave off anyway now. So